Hi, and welcome to At-Home Art Lessons with the Art Groupies, where we develop great art habits. We're going to be working with this groupie, Owen. Owen is very observant. He's like that little ant walking across a piece of artwork, noticing everything. We're going to notice all the colors, patterns, and little details with our Amate Bark painting. It's a type of folk art from the country of Mexico. Aztec and Mayas were the first to introduce it. They create this piece of paper from the bark of a fig tree or a mulberry tree. The men peel the bark from the trees and the women wash it and boil it for hours until it's nice and soft. And then they beat it on a rock until it forms into a paste, and then it's molded and dried into the sun. So Amate Bark painting. We're going to be inspired by the birds, and we're going to create the birds with simple lines and shape. I'm going to start at the top of my paper and make a side view of a bird. I'm going to start with the dot for the eye. I'm going to go around the dot with a circle. I'm going to create another circle around the eye. I'm going to do a straight line out and then connect it to that circle with two more straight lines, making two little triangles. I'm going to create my neck rings of my bird, giving a little bit more detail. I'm going to come down and around to create the body. Doing the tail feathers, I'm just going to use like a very thin type of oval for the tail feathers. I'm going to do another type of oval for the wing and then add those thin finger-like ovals for my wing. Going to add two little legs, and voila, there's my bird. I'm now going to do a second bird closer to the bottom. This one is going to be more, I guess, in the foreground. So I'm going to make these lines a little bit darker and bolder to make it appear closer. Again, that dot for the eye, the circle around the eye, and now a circle around the head. This time I'm going to do the letter V and make my bird's mouth open. I'm going to make it appear that my bird is kind of turning around and looking at this guy. So again, because he's in the foreground, I'm going to make his lines a little bit thicker to show that perspective. I'm going to come around here for his body. And he's kind of, like I said, turning around backwards, so I'm going to add a really big, beautiful, bushy tail here, just to give it a little extra something, something. Nice scalloped line to show those feathers. I'm going to create that wing again over here with those finger-like ovals, skinny ovals for the wing. I'm going to have them, I think, opened this time. So instead of just sitting there, I'm going to have them open like he's ready to fly, or maybe he's singing a beautiful song. But the Amate Bark painting from Mexico. Beautiful art. Not detailed in any way, with the bird being realistic, but detailed with, like, I would say, whimsical designs. So I have the shape of my bird down. I'm now going to add that color and the detail and the branch. So the branch, first, before I get started, I'm going to lay that out. I'm just going to use some simple creative shapes to make my branches, and remember, it's whimsical. It doesn't need to look realistic. This is folk art. Folk art is not very realistic. It's whimsical. It's fun. And very colorful. Lots of patterns and designs with lots of beautiful colors. So I'm just making my branches of my tree or branches of a bush that perhaps my whimsical birds are on. Now that I have that laid out, I'm going to go in and start adding some details with my bird, and I think I'm going to give my bird some feathers. So for the body, I forgot my rings around this one. For the body of the bird, I'm going to give it some very simple feather-like ovals, just to make it seem like a bird and it has feathers, but not realistic. Not going to add in those fine little veins of a feather. I'm just going to just do some cute little ovals in there. You can do your birds different colors. You can make them the same color. It's totally up to you. You can give your bird some heart shapes, star shapes, whatever you want. You just can do one bird. I'm going to do two. One for a kind of frontal view, but kind of looking backwards. And then the other one was the side view. Start with that eye and then work your way out. So now I'm going to add my bird's feathers. So I'm going to start with this one down here with a nice hot pink and just nice scalloped lines to show the feathers of the bird. You can make this as creative or as simple as you like. Your feathers can get bigger if you like towards the bottom and smaller up top, totally up to you. I'm going to add some more before I get to the tail part of my bird. There we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and add some designs for the back part of my bird. Add some lines in here. Maybe I'm going to use some blues and some greens for this tail. Bring these lines down. Again, don't be worried about making it look too perfect. You kind of want to think about making it appear very whimsical and fun. Don't have to be very perfect with your lines. Just have fun. Lots of color. And pattern. So I'm going to just create a very simple pattern on my bird's wings. Kind of repeat that design. All the way around. Folk art is found in most cultures. It's just fun art not fine art. They're not so worried about showing value or form. Their drawings are very flat, just very colorful. Lots of patterns. Give my bird nice orange beaks. So have fun creating your whimsical folk art bird. Here's one that is finished. I added some designs on the wings. Again, not realistic, just fun. Some polka dots around the head, some polka dots around the wings. I added some polka dots around my branches. I colored my branches in blue. Some hearts, some whimsical hearts for my leaves. Some flowers around with different color petals. I tried to continue this little motif around the picture. So I tried to fill in the space but still keep my birds as the center of attention, making this bird thicker with darker lines to show that it's in the foreground, and maybe this one it's a little bit behind it. So folk art inspired by Mexican bark painting. Again, it's bark that is peeled from the fig trees and the mulberry trees, and the women boil it in large pots for hours, and then they pound it with a stone till they get paste, and then they mold it and paint beautiful designs. So thanks for joining me for our Amate bird bark painting.